Further, in the second session, Apurv sir, an investor at Google, talked about the things we need to keep in mind when we apply for funding at an organization. Hopefully, all of you must have gained valuable insights on converting your ideas into reality from those masterclasses. Today, we're going to learn something different. I welcome our speaker for today, Ms. Rashi Narang, founder for Heads Up for Tails. She will be speaking on the topic, a tale for starting out. I request everyone to please give her a huge round of applause. I would request Mr. Talwar to please felicitate our guest speaker with a. Okay.
We'll do that later.
We'll do that later.
Welcome you here.
Thank you so much.
Because we had students ready, we thought we'll leave the more beautiful nuances for the end.
Thank you.
So perhaps it'll be nice to first hear from you, your thoughts, address the students. We also have a live audience online. Let's hear your story and then perhaps we'll get into a 5 minutes afterwards.
Sure. Okay. All right.
All your turn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited and always excited to share my story and a little bit about how we started and what we're doing. Thank you to the university for having me here. You know, I founded, I founded Heads Up for Tails out of necessity. A little puppy named Sarah came into my life and I wanted to do the best that I could for her. And I started to look for products that could help her live a great life, you know, things like clean treats, good quality shampoos, basic toys, other things, but I couldn't find anything at all. And that left me pretty disappointed and I decided to build it myself. And that's when I realized that there must be others like me who wanted to do better by their animal companions. And that's how the idea for Heads Up for Tails was born. At Heads Up for Tails, just to give you a very brief introduction. Oh, sorry. Thank you. At Heads Up for Tails, we create and curate innovative products and services to bring joy to pets and their families one home at a time. We started out with just a few products that I built at home, but now we have over 7,000 products. We started out tiny, but now we're at 75 stores and we serve over 1 million customers every year. Our ambition really is to listen in and solve the problems that have previously gone unnoticed and also to connect people better with their pets. Because any pet people here, anyone with a pet? Amazing. Okay, I'm sure all of you will agree that with pets, they really open up our hearts in an amazing way. They make us kinder, they make us more compassionate, they make us more empathetic, and honestly, they make us better people. And that's how we believe at Heads Up for Tails that the world is going to become better. I started out, I want to share this, I want to share my journey with you in the form of a few lessons. They're not all business lessons, because I believe that, running a business requires a lot of technical expertise, which I hope that you're all getting equipped with over here with, at university with amazing masterclasses and speakers and, case studies that you just mentioned, but also life lessons that I believe that you need to be able to really persevere and build and continuously build and face the challenges that come your way. So I hope that they're going to resonate with you. They're very simple. And I hope that as you set out into the world, loaded with ambition, with hope, and with drive to make a difference, whether it is through your own entrepreneurial ventures or working in a company, I hope some of them will stay with you. I started building these products for my dog Sarah at home. And once I had built a collection that I was very happy with, I tried it with friends, with family, tested it out, got feedback, and then I really had something that I thought was very special. And then I wanted to take it to retailers, that is pet stores across the country, the same ones where I hadn't found anything at all. And I thought that they're going to be super excited to have something new in their stores, which was visibly missing. But to my disappointment, I went to almost 200 stores in the country, and every one of them shut their door on me, saying that this is not going to work. Who are you? What is this that you have built? Why are you here? This is nonsense. Get out, please, etc., etc. And I think that that rejection, it was extremely painful at that time, but something kept telling me to try, alternative venues to try to get to my customers. And so I started taking part in flea markets and in pop-up exhibitions and Diwali melas and things like that. And there the customer told me a completely different story. They were curious, they were enthusiastic, they were excited, they hadn't seen these products before. And we started talking about their problem areas, their pain points, their stories with their pets, and their relationships. And without really realizing, we were practicing the design thinking approach, getting a lot of feedback, and that really helped us build out products faster than anyone else. It helped us innovate. It helped spark a lot of creativity and really put ourselves in their shoes and empathize with them in different ways. And that's really when I learned my most important lesson, which is lesson number 1: stay close to your customers. So for example, somebody said, hey, my Cocker Spaniel has really long ears, and every time I give him or her a meal, the ears get dirty. So then we, this was like 15 years ago now. So we built out a bowl that was a bit narrower from the top and deeper from the base, to help dogs with long ears. Or somebody said, my dog is growing older. I can see that he or she is struggling to get up. And so we built out a senior dog line, like orthopedic beds and supplements that did not exist at that time for dogs who were senior. No one really classified or even thought of the fact that, listen, this dog is getting older and may have a different set of problems. It was just a dog is a dog, right? So all of that feedback really helped us innovate. And in fact, we launched more than 100 India First products in the first couple of years. Now the number is at 200, but it's all about staying really close to your customers, getting feedback, talking to them, learning from them. And really that's how we also built out that product market fit. That rejection from all of those 200 pet stores and not having a place to sell made us think about, okay, where do I go, or what do we do about all of these products that I've built? And so we tried to go online, and I built my first website by a class 10 student, paid 5,000 rupees, which also seemed a lot at that time, negotiated very hard like entrepreneurs do. And just the joy of even getting those 4 orders a month from somebody across the country was amazing. But then, we realized that, and I know Chirag was just telling me that, why are you offline when everybody's going online? And Google was telling us how much they're investing in tech. But really, these products were all so new. No one was searching for them. One was looking for them. And so we had to be able to enable discoverability of these products and get them in front of the customers. And so we got lucky because a leading mall in Delhi, we got a kiosk there. I begged the management to give me a 2-day rental. They were like, never in the history have we ever signed a 2-day contract. Minimum is 1 month. But entrepreneurs, we have persistence. And I said, please. And I'm happy to tell you that we're still there 15 years later. Now we have a bigger store, and we're going to open hopefully 100 store in the next 6 months. So it's really been quite a. And so I think what I wanted to share as my second lesson was, what feels painful in the moment may be perfect in hindsight, right? Like, it was so painful to go through that journey, have that rejection, to figure out what do we do, how do we do it. And today, really, I have to say that our retail network, which we built because we were forced to, because nobody wanted to keep our product, is one of our biggest competitive advantages. And so trust where you are, trust every obstacle that's coming your way, trust every bad day and learn from it, because it's all there to grow us and to serve us. And I hope that that stays with you the next time something comes and throws you off or upsets you massively. Life has your back, and so you need to remember that. Getting to success takes a lot of failures, a lot. And my third lesson is fail fast. So I think one of the biggest blessings that a startup has is the ability to fail fast, which means an ability to try something new, which may or may not work. You don't have to go through processes and approvals and multiple people who have to approve a business plan, etc., etc. You try, it works, great. It doesn't work, move on. We've had like a zillion failures when it came to store locations, strategies, products, services, lots of things that we tried. But it just, just learning from all of it and moving forward, just failing fast, it really is a huge, huge entrepreneurial blessing, I'd say. So I hope that you will use that. On the personal side, just a year after I started out, my husband got posted overseas for his work. And I went along because Heads Up Potatoes was a tiny little fledgling business, definitely not enough to hold him back or to sustain us. And for 7 long years, I had to run the business remotely. I didn't know how long it's going to be. So it was just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And it just went on. So for 7 years, I ran the business remotely. I had a child during this time. I tried to commute back and forth. It was really messy. And I always had this big ambition for what I'm doing. But I have to tell you that for those years, I really had to recalibrate my ambition. And again, the reason I bring up, something maybe not so business related is because a lot of you, especially women, when you take time out to have children, build your families, you may have to recalibrate your ambitions. And I now when I look back, I know that it's okay. At that time, I was like, oh my God, I'm losing time. All of these people are copying us, getting ahead. The industry is developing, all of those insecurities, all of those fears. But I just want to say that it's okay to have those points in your life when you have to pause, recalibrate, and when you're ready, you can step back on the accelerator and get right back to the front. Also, all those years of sitting away, having no money, I barely had a team. We couldn't hire anyone with expertise because the industry didn't really exist. The vendors, they used to get so offended. I mean, there weren't any vendors in the pet space, so we had to go to vendors outside the pet space who were making other human products. And they used to get really upset. Like I felt like they felt insulted when I said, can you make stuff for cats and dogs? I really I can't tell you how many times I have been shown the door and said, please leave. Aap jaiye yahan se, all of those kind of things. And it was really, that whole time was really very hard. But I think building this whole thing from scratch, it's really built me up to also be able to handle a lot of things that are thrown my way. And when I look back at all of those, that whole messy middle, I have to say that I didn't really see the difficulty then. I see it now and I see the struggle. When I look back, I'm like, gosh, that was really a period of intense struggle. But all I saw that time was white space and an obsession to build. It was just like I couldn't see anything else. And again, I say this now because, when other people see chaos, it is really about spotting opportunities within that chaos that can help you discover something that others can't see and bring it to market. I mean, if I think about Apple and I think about Steve Jobs, I mean, we never really needed an iPhone. No one had said, I want XYZ, I want all these apps. He just completely saw what no one else could see and he brought it to life. And now, that whole ecosystem is something that none of us can survive without. So it's all about perspective. It's about your mindset. What can you see, what others can't see? And that is what's also going to give you your idea to bring something magical into the world that is going to make a big impact and change lives. And so really my next lesson is that as entrepreneurs, we build a lot of resilience, and there is a lot of power in persistence. Even though it was a small little business, I just could not give up. No matter how many people told me you're crazy, this is just ridiculous. It was really seen as, oh, she does this small little passion project on the side while going crazy about it, and coming back to India 6 times a year and working 12 hours. Like, we couldn't understand. and I get why, but that's that. And so yes, we can't give up, especially when we believe in something. And then finally, 7 years later, when I just could not control that fire in my belly, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm going back, and I have to be able to do this. And then I knew it was just time to return and sort of soar higher. And that's when we decided to raise investments and bring on investors. And my lesson 4 is choosing the right partners at the right time. So I remember the first investor that I went to that agreed to give us funding. I went to meet him, and we had multiple conversations. And on this particular day, when I went to I went to him, and he wrote out. I mean, this was a while ago, so he wrote out a check. Now, of course, we don't use checks, but he wrote out $1 million check. And when I was sitting there, we had a couple of conversations, and he wanted to change value system, logo, vision. He wanted to change everything, and something just did not feel right. And yet I was like, oh my God, like, this money will enable me to do so many things that I can't at the moment. But I couldn't get myself to take that check, and I returned it with due respect. And I remember just my eyes stinging with tears, and I walked out, after hearing a lot of insulting words from him. Of course, I'm sure even his ego was massively hurt. But I know I did the right thing. And I know for sure if I had taken that money, I don't think that we would be around today. And so, for all of you who are thinking of entrepreneurship and thinking about raising funds, I want to ask you to remember 3 very, very important questions. Who is the right partner for you? Do your value systems match? I have seen so many of my friends in the entrepreneurship circle completely lose their businesses because they got the wrong investors. How patient is the capital, and how patient you need it to be? What will and how will this person react when things go wrong? Really, who is the person that you're taking money from? So very important. The second question is when. We had a lot of interest even when I was overseas, but I knew I could not commit to what is needed. It is a lot, and it is a massive commitment. Sure, you feel like you're moving up, but what you have to give back in terms of commitment, time, life, literally your whole life to this cause, you have to be ready for it. And so make sure whenever you're at that point, I know it seems really sexy and from the outside, oh my God, I got funding and all of that. Are you ready for it? Is it the right time? Can you really commit your whole life to this cause? And number 3, why are you raising funds? A lot of people can't answer that question. It's just because, oh, that's the thing to do, or like, I just want to, or like, it's just so cool, or okay, I want to grow my business. All of us want to grow our businesses, but really, why do you want to raise funds, right? Do you know the answer to that? And that answer needs to be crystal clear for you to use that money perfectly well, and also to instill confidence in your investors. So those 3 questions, the who, the why, and the when, so very important when you go out to raise funding. And then, of course, we didn't go ahead with that investor, but we got on some amazing people who resonated with our brand, with our values, with our vision, what we're trying to build out. And I'm so very grateful, for that. I know a lot of people, they have this dilemma. Should we raise funds? Should we not raise funds? Personally, at Heads Up for Rails, we've raised over 50 million of funding, and yet I am a massively firm believer in bootstrapping, because for 8 years, I bootstrapped, I built a lot of products, did prototyping, failed fast, learned a lot, did a lot with less. And that helped me to, think about how do I build a strong sustainable company that is customer obsessed, it's efficient, and it's lean. So this is, of course, just my opinion, but I really believe that you should test out a business model, be confident, know what you're doing before you go out and get funding. This is my opinion, do what works for you. One of the other lessons that I've learned is that entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey, but there's no way that you can do it alone. You know, you really do feel alone at the top. And that's for leadership in general, entrepreneurship, definitely you feel like there's something being thrown at you every day. Whom do you talk to? Yes, your team, but you know, it's still difficult. But really, it's about building also that support system, and it's also building that network intelligence. You know, there is so much that we have learned from the industry, the behaviorists, the nutritionists, and the trainers, and the animal welfare workers, and the pet parents, all of whom have given us such amazing input. And here I also want to talk to you about feedback, right? A lot of you are pitching. You're going to be able to, you may get feedback from the jury. Sometimes it stings and sometimes it hurts. And sometimes you just want to be defending yourself. But I'll tell you that if you remove yourself from the negativity or you know, just the I or the ego, if you remove yourself, feedback is always just positive, right? It helps you understand your blind spots. It helps you just see what you're not seeing. And every time I receive it from a customer or from somebody in the company, first its instinct is defend. No, but you know, whatever else. And then now I've learned how to like really take it positively, listen and solve for it as best as I can, build a lot of, build channels for feedback, in fact, so that I can keep getting it and listening to what's working and what's not. On the personal side, it has been a roller coaster of a ride for me, you know, trying to be the best mom that I can, manage my home, run this business, which is striving for world class, constantly learning, you know, having to build out not just the front end, back end, but also the customer, because the customer also didn't exist when we started out. It's been quite a lot, and I felt extremely stretched on many days. And so sometimes I wonder that what is it that makes people get on this train and get on this crazy, you know, thrilling, challenging journey, and not just give up when it gets too much. And honestly, it gets too much every day. So what is it that makes us stay and, you know, persevere? And this is my last lesson, that really I believe and I've learned that to succeed at something in the long run, you need two things: grit and purpose. Grit is a combination of passion and perseverance. You know, a lot of people describe entrepreneurs as passionate. I'm not sure if that's enough to take you through the very hard days. And there are many hard days, and there will be for all of you who decide to go on this journey. I've had to persevere for a long time, 15 years now. And I know that the road is still long, and I have stumbled a million times, like a zillion times, I feel. But it's about just continuing to persevere no matter what. And, you know, really no external forces holding me. I can decide I want to stop the train, get off at the next stop. But when I made those products for Sarah and then for other customers, I found that, you know, they felt like a little bit of this very special part of their life was honored. And in that, I found very deep purpose. You know, I have hundreds and thousands of stories of our customers of how they have transformed into just better people ever since these pets have come into their lives, how much joy they bring into our lives, how much humility and love and friendship and such amazing lessons, you know, and really, like, I have found my purpose in that. And I think that finding your purpose in whatever it is that you're doing, professionally, entrepreneurially, whatever it is, I think that is what keeps you going when the days get hard, when life is tough, when you're thrown off and there are 1,000 obstacles. So yes, finding your purpose will really help you go that extra mile and succeed in the long run. I also want to remind you that entrepreneurship is an amazing chance to do something which is bigger than just you. So we set up the Heads Up for Tails Foundation that focuses a lot on peaceful coexistence between man and urban animals, particularly street dogs, because that's where we see a lot of conflict, a lot of cruelty. And it's very, very rewarding to be able to stand for something that is bigger than you, to make that impact, and to really, like, it just keeps you going. It just helps you to overcome a lot of fears and really, get up and chase that ambition and that impact every single day. And so I hope that, within your businesses, you can take your business also as a responsibility of making better impact. I know a lot of it is around sustainability, Chirag said, which is amazing. Our planet is so badly damaged. It really, really, really needs us all to be thinking about sustainability, not just as a business, but as human beings making those decisions every single day. And so, I applaud all of you who have come up with all of those ideas. I'd love to hear them maybe someday, Chirag. But really, I think you'll feel a lot of satisfaction knowing that you're bringing about that change in a way that only you can, because each of us brings massively unique magic to the world. And just before I end, I want to say that, when you embark on this journey, whatever it's going to be, it's not about how many, if you face challenges, you will face challenges, you will be thrown down, you will have 100 obstacles to overcome. And really, at that point, it's about who has the most resilience that is going to go the furthest, right? So if you fall down 7 times, are you going to get up, one more time? Fall down 7, get up 8. Really, that is what we. So I know this is not. Maybe you were expecting startup lessons with jargon and with all of this, but I'll tell you that's an incredibly important part of the business. But you're down and out and you can't get up that one more time when an obstacle hits you. That's the end. So really protect your hope. That's what I do every day. Make a massive effort to protect my hope from the noise and the naysayers and everyone else who wants to pull you down, and difficult, market conditions and business, conditions, etc. But I think that hope shines so bright and brighter than any other dark. And so I hope that you will let yourself soar very, very high and don't give up on yourself. And thank you so much for having me here with me.
You want to take a seat?
Sure.
Well, extremely endearing story. I had a couple of questions, but I now really don't know where to begin.
Okay.
Because hearing it from you with that emotion is another story in itself.
Okay.
Right? So okay, so let me just start with some very quirky questions where I just jotted down on my phone.
Sure.
In all of this, today, how many stores do you operate?
75.
75 physical brick and mortar stores across all major cities in India.
Yes.
How many of these 75 stores would be in A-grade locations, high streets or very expensive malls?
85%.
85%. How many customers all in all would you have?
Over 1 million.
Over 1 million customers. Funding, you give us a number, just give us a number again.
We've raised so far 50 million.
50 million USDs in funding. In how many years was this journey?
Since 2016.
Since 2016. So that's what, 6 years?
Yes.
6 years. And the number of investors who are currently with you?
Right now we have 3 key investors,
Okay.
but we started out with HNIs, which is high net worth individuals, family offices. We didn't want to straight go into VCs and others. So, when we started out, we wanted to really get a little bit more softer capital, people who believe in the vision, and have, just different plans.
Fantastic. In terms of products, how many products would you be selling right now? And how many products would be in the pipeline?
We have more than 7,000 products, and we have about 200 of them in pipeline.
Okay. In terms of the number of people who are aligned with you in your business, in your dream, in your passion, what would that number be? Your employees?
1,400.
1,400 across India. Fantastic. I'm not even going to ask you about your following on Instagram and LinkedIn and social media handles. I'm sure those numbers are extremely large.
Those numbers are decently large.
That's all.
Like I think we are careful that we want to keep the engagement very real. We don't want any bots. We don't want to pay for followers.
Okay.
So whoever we have are real people. We see really good engagement, lots of comments, lots of people sharing stories. That's how we want it, however big or small that number is.
Fantastic. And sitting today, how many more ideas do you have with you, which you still would want to bring to life one day?
So many. It's all in the pet space. That's all I think of, breathe, dream of. But so many more that I feel can change their lives and, help them live happier, better, more comfortable lives. So bringing in a lot more services, just a lot of education for pet people to do better by their pets. I mean, I have a zillion ideas. Every day there's an idea. I have to pause it, have like an ideas diary where I have to just, kind of calm myself down and say, okay, can't run with it now, but hopefully sometime in the future.
And all of this started with the passion.
It started with Sarah.
And then eventually went on to create a whole market category in itself.
Yes.
A niche. Like you said, pet products weren't available. There was no recognition. I'd say manufacturers were appalled when you reached them, giving them ideas of what they should be building. And you've actually still very boldly, very confidently gone ahead and created this category. And I'm sure there are many, many out there now who regret not having partnered with you in the past.
Yes, I hope so. All of those who showed me the door and told me to get out. I hope so.
In all of this,
Yeah.
Now speak to us a little about tech. So yesterday when I said we had Google, the gentleman Apurva Chamaria, he insisted saying as an investor, he would still put his money in tech because it's measurable, it's contained, it's a very controlled environment versus going into something very high risk and having a brick and mortar store. I mean, let's just even across the country, across the world would have impacted your business. I'm guessing you still come out stronger is because you transitioned to an online model very somewhere that happened.
Yes, we did. We had the website built for a long time, but there wasn't much focus on it. So like I said, a lot of focus was on the discoverability, on getting to know our customers. When they walk in to a store asking for very basic stuff, like maybe food, they're like, oh my God, this is like Disneyland. There's so many products. I had no idea that they existed. And we were able to really sort of, help them make good choices when they came in. I've heard the tech story for a long time. Our investors said, oh my God, your online piece needs to grow by leaps and bounds. Retail is much stronger.
Is that still a metric? Like,
It is
still chase
It
you
is
with
totally not a metric anymore. Nobody online makes money.
True.
Everybody is talking about brick and mortar. Every online company is looking to go omni-channel and trying to do both.
Okay.
There is just so much power in physical retail. That's not to say that we're not investing massively in tech. We are, which is, our app, customer journeys, CRM, how do we understand our people? All our advertising is online, it's all digital. So I think just the blended piece is what is working right now. But yes, I think that our offline is way simpler than our online. When somebody comes into a store, we help them make a decision and they buy whatever they want and they leave. Online, it seems like, oh my God, it's so easy, and you can service the whole country, but you need massive amounts of warehousing, you need customer care, you need content, you need catalog teams, you need photographers and videographers and content creators and app people and coders and developers, and that's only half the list. So honestly, I know this may be contrary, but I love the offline model way more than the online model. I can talk to my customers, I can interact with them, I know their dogs by name. It's just so wonderful to be able to do that.
Do you have a loyalty program that you're running?
We are just launching that. But see, for things like that, while it may be launched at retail, you still need the tech to be able to enable it on the bank. So I think just that Nice
the
combination of
interface is the tech
Yes.
and you'd like to keep it there.
exactly.
So let's speak about stores in design and aesthetics and the power of the brand. So just this weekend, I was in Worldmark,
Okay.
right? And Worldmark, for the ones who are not from here, is a very, I think it's a combination of a shopping complex and a very high street mall. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's really expensive. I think it's one of the most expensive properties to retail or rent out right now, right? In Gurgaon. So I saw the store and you've got a huge store, it's massive. 3 years ago, I used to frequent Galleria quite a bit. And I remember Heads Up for Tales taking up a corner old store and refurbishing the whole dean and spending $1 million doing it. So you've been very generous with how you've also built your stores. They're very beautiful. You know, it's an experience what your store offers. It's not just a product that we walk in there for. We'd walk in, it's a certain vibe, it's a certain air, it's a certain graphic aesthetic that you're seeing everywhere. What is the genesis of creating this very lovable place to be in? I mean, I'm sure it just still somewhere came from your own personal passion.
It did actually, a lot of people tell us that your stores look very expensive, but they're probably like our investors cannot believe the cost that we make them at. We designed them ourselves, never had an external agency come in, never had contractors and big bills, have the cheapest materials, the cheapest tiles, simple walls, and like just as basic as it can get. But we like to merchandise them nicely so that they look great. And it's just because design is important to us and it always sort of has been at the heart of so many things. You know, we at Heads Up Tales, we say, okay, we are a combination. The brand is a combination of art, which is all the design, the science, which is all of the research and the expertise, and heart, lots of heart. So
A lot of
that's
heart.
that.
How do you keep 1,400 people part of your team aligned with your heart? And really every morning what's going on in your mind? I'm sure with your, with your speed and your own evolving ideas, there's just so much you want to be reinventing and doing every single day and bettering it.
Yes.
So what happens within the teams? How do you manage this large team of 1,400 people across
In
so many
that
stores?
we've got some great leaders, worked a lot on building out, middle management, senior management, the teams who then further look after more people, build them as leaders, and we don't have it right by any standard. Like the aspiration is so high with going in there every day because all of these people come from different backgrounds. You have to help them unlearn and relearn a different code of conduct, a different culture, which is all about empathy and compassion and kindness. They're like, what what are you talking about? Right. So it takes time to really integrate them. And but we're trying every day. That's what you wake up and you get there and you say, okay, how do I do better today? What are the simple 1% improvements? Sometimes when you have very big dreams, it's too much for the team also to climb like big steps. And I always say, let's just climb the next step on the ladder and just one at a time, just little by little. But that just keeps us all sort of motivated, happy. I really try to instill the same purpose and passion into people. So a lot of people who come and join us are people who believe in what we're doing. They believe in the vision. They believe in the emotion that we're trying to nurture and spread out to the world. So no correct, perfect answers, but we're doing our best.
Fantastic. Tough question, and I'll follow it up with another one, and then we'll open it to the audience. How do you deal with competition? A lot of your products would be commoditized.
Yes.
In the sense, what's available at your store would also be available at 10 other stores.
Yes.
One is, how do you deal with competition, considering the category itself has also evolved with extensive distribution. Even imported products are now very easily available
Absolutely.
in India.
Absolutely.
Right? Even online. I think
Yes.
it's just faster to order things online.
Yeah.
Even a Blinkit will deliver
Absolutely.
a lot of what you already
Yeah.
deliver in store. How do you deal with this?
So I think we're partnering with a lot of people like Amazon, Blinkit, etc. We're partnering and trying to see how do we grow within these ecosystems.
So you're leveraging
And
their
yeah,
own
we're
strength.
leveraging their strengths, but also the heaps of copycat brands, etc. I think it used to upset me massively at one point, and now I've just realized that it's a big distraction. It just keeps distracting you. So every time I see something, first reaction is, okay, do not get distracted, go back to your business. What are you doing to make it better and better and better? So I think that's the way that I try to deal with it. Because, just we have competitors who do every single thing that we do, every single, right? So it's just about, okay. And I think that I was talking to somebody the other day, I said, actually, if I were to remove the fear, which is so instinctive, actually it's a massive blessing, because they are pushing us to do better, to think more, to like really be like, okay, how do we do, what's next? What's the next big leap? What can I do better? How do I think about this different? And perhaps that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have
Competition, it always keeps you going. It just keeps you going faster.
Yes.
So when you speak about 7,000 products, I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would have products which are not yours, but
Yes.
products which you're stocking.
Yes.
How this would have started is where you perhaps wanted to have your own product line.
Yeah.
A heads of a tail brand which stands up for quality and purpose in doing so. Are you continuing to strengthen your own product line while still stocking others? Or what's the larger game plan there?
So when we started out just as a single brand. It was just the products that we were building. And then over time, customers came to us and said, listen, I don't want to buy 3 things from here, then go out somewhere else and buy the food. I
So you
want
said
to be able
everything
to
in one
have
place.
everything in one place. So we only stock very few third-party brands, primarily in food and other categories that we don't have our own products in. To make it a one-stop shop, really, and brands from across the world, a lot of Indian players as well, just things that we aren't necessarily focused on or don't have the capability, or it's not in our game plan. And yes, we're continuously working on strengthening our own product portfolio, making big investments in back end and manufacturing and many new lines coming.
How do you build in sustainability in all of this? I mean, is sustainability on your agenda? Question number 1.
It is very much on my agenda, very much. So for example, we have a few initiatives going, and again, it's about, what can we do every day to make that better? So our beds are stuffed with recycled polyfill made from plastic bottles. We, invested in a machine that shreds all of our carton. So we don't use, instead of bubble wrap in our online orders, we use shredded cartons. So, like that, like a lot of our products, we just launched a new line called Pause for Earth. It's all toys made from upcycled sweaters that are, recycled, made into new fabric. And there's so many initiatives, actually. We've got pet wipes that we worked on it for 2 years because we couldn't find biodegradable material for that, but now we finally launched it. So like lots of things that are, it's always in the center. Like what can we do to, make this more sustainable, reduce the carbon footprint? So there aren't solutions across everything, but wherever we find it, we're like, okay, how do we implement this?
How's your experience been as a startup founder in the Indian business ecosystem, dealing with the government, regulations? How's that been?
I don't know what I should say and what I shouldn't, but it's been very difficult.
Yeah.
We find it very difficult. There is just so much.
Which is why it needs grit.
Yes. There is just so much time and energy that goes into solving for nonsense, unfortunately. But that's just the way that it is. And you just get better at it.
It's a complicated ecosystem.
Very complicated.
I once asked a senior person in hospitality, saying, the government says they now have a one-window operation. He just smiles at me and says, well, the government has created one door. Once you enter the door, you still have 10 more doors.
True that. And I hope it will change someday, because it really comes in the way of us doing what we should be doing.
One last. Partnering with the society at large, operating for a cause, working with NGOs. You're in a space which automatically attracts a lot of love. There are already a number of NGOs in this space. Are you very outgoing in how you partner with organizations, or how are you as a brand? What's your personality?
I think just as a brand, we're very authentic and we're very honest. We aren't doing it to use as a marketing activity. So like maybe 1/100th of what we do is actually what we may talk about. My team keeps telling me that needs to change, people, this is not, this is people need to know, but I just feel like we need to do it because we must do it. And that, we partner, whether it's with giving donations of our products, or helping with medication, or helping with adoption camps at our stores, or vaccination drives, or sterilization drives, or whatever we can do. I mean,
I
that's
think
much.
given your network of 75 stores, there's a lot you can actually
Yeah.
do
Absolutely.
on ground versus
Absolutely.
have a policy.
Yeah, and really, like, yeah, we don't have any policies, but I'm so happy to share that if you go into any of our stores, which are on the high street or outside, you'll find street dogs outside. Our team will care for them. They all have names. They will always have fresh food and water. They will take shelter in our stores during extreme cold and heat, or every day really. Like, they've just made it home, and there is no policy around it. It just happens. And every time a new store opens, I'll soon get messages. This is Moti, and this is Leila, and this is Pinky, and it's just they are just doing it, and I think it's just rubbing off. Kindness rubs off on each other, and I think a lot of people who come into the system, they're not always pet people. They may be afraid, and then just to see that transition is just lovely. It is just phenomenal.
I'm sure. I mean, you certainly have the best of both worlds. You've got a brand which India now loves. Hopefully, it travels across as well. And I'm sure as a brand, you need a lot of money.
Well, I don't know about that, but there's a long way to go. It's still very niche, Chirag. It's still very niche, and there's still a lot of education and awareness needed. So that's what we're trying to build.
Just strengthening the whole ecosystem. Great. So I'll finish there. Let me open this to questions from the audience. We've got teams here which have traveled from different countries. We've got our own team from NorthCap. We've also got people online. So open, guys. Any questions that you have for Rashi? Starting there.
My name is, and I have a question that if I'm a pet owner, and what's one thing that probably will attract people to our company that will have many competitors in the market?
That's a good question. Well, the first thing is that we are trying to change the concept of pet ownership to pet parent, because we believe that you can't really own a life, even if you feel that you do, can't really own it. And so how can we become those, how can we help our customers become people who look at pets as family, who look at them as sentient beings with all these emotions, and how do we make them more responsible? So we have an amazing range of product. We work on a lot of content. And so if you come into our stores, we'll also add value to your customer experience by helping you, advising you, guiding you, and doing the best that we can. And really, there's a lot of love within the team members. We also have spas. And if you take your dog grooming mostly anywhere in the world, the first thing they'll do is put on a muzzle.
Yeah.
We don't allow our teams to put on a muzzle. We've trained our groomers to understand dog body language, communicate with them. And if they don't do it right, they will get bitten, and they have. And, so it's just very, very pets first, and more than anything else. So I hope that you'll come someday and try it and give me feedback. It's not always perfect, but that's what we're trying to do. Thanks.
Questions here?
Hi, I'm Ayush Kumar, and I visited your store in Pandava, which just happened last month.
Yes.
So my question was, if you would have had this capital that you have right now in 2008,
Right.
Would that have been an advantage, or would that have not been a good thing because you could not learn from your mistakes?
I think that the category was at such a niche point at that time, and it still is now. Like I just mentioned, we've had to build out the customer and build out a lot of awareness. So I think that we always have been a little bit early for the market, and I think that to have done those investments then, perhaps we might have failed because it was just way too early. We still feel like people aren't quite getting it. we're still far ahead in our thinking and what we're trying to build in a lot of our products. And so I think that, yeah, it was in the right time then, wasn't?
I think launching in a journey, you have been fending off a lot of challenges, like when there are government issues, when there are good customers, then there are good, capital, like you want to invest in your, and then they have to go online, then you have to do branding, then you have to create your own process, like if somebody is going to come in this car, how it's going to go ahead, and then you are creating products and sustainability. I mean, there's a lot and you have been following like everything
It's a
like,
full
for
world.
years. So how do you do it? I mean, you said there are copycats and your first instinct is to like, be afraid of them. And then you tell yourself it's just a distraction. I mean, it's like amazing to tell yourself that your fear is distraction and then just be on your way. So how do you do it? Like you meditate or you
Good question. How do you do this every day?
It really is about protecting your hope and your mind. And yes, I work on it every single day. Every single day in the morning, I take 15 minutes out for learning something new, which always makes you feel invigorated. I take some time out to do something for my mind, which is either learning, something for my heart, something for my soul, something for my hair, for my health. So a mix of exercise, a mix of journaling or gratitude or just solitude,
You
reflection.
still have time to do all of this?
1 hour every single day.
Wow.
Otherwise, when I go in, I'll get knocked down and I have to get up again and be like, I'm going to keep going. So yes, you have to do something to build your mental strength, whatever that may be for you. It could be a hobby, anything that makes you feel happy. And a lot of what I said, it's also just it wasn't there always. I've been through spells where I'm like, oh my God, I'm afraid of this or that's coming at me. Or I can't, I'm flat out. I can't get up anymore. That's it. I am done. Right? Like I have been through all of those phases. But I think it's just about constantly strengthening your mental attitude to say, okay. And that's why I talked about purpose, right? If it's just passion, you may be like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. But when it's purpose, you have the strength to get up one more time and then one more time and keep
Energized.
going on. Yeah.
Any questions this side?
We heard your story about your struggles in the beginning when you had not raised the funds. But was there any point after you raising the funds, because the scenario changes and the expectation changes? So, any difficult situations like you had opened the store, but it has to be closed down because it is not performing, or after the fund also, maybe there was a time where there was a cash crunch and like we see all the time that there's a firing going on.
Right.
So these are the difficult decisions that you have to take sometime. Like, I don't know whether you faced that situation or not, but how do you deal with those situations? Because the kind of image that you have portrayed of your company, I am assuming that everyone is very close to each other and they are working like a very close unit. And at that moment, if someone has to be asked to go, so how do you deal with that situation? And what is the culture that you have built in the company?
Okay.
So,
okay, sure. So before you raise funds, you always feel that if I had the money, all these problems would go away.
Yeah.
But after you raise the funds, you realize that throwing money at a problem is going to create 10 more problems. Really, like it is so not the answer to most problems. Sure, it's an enabler, but it's definitely not something that solves anything. So for example, you may be able to hire somebody better, but you still have to work on building them up. You still have to work on culture massively. You still have to work on growing them. You still have to work on all of those things. It's not going to solve the problem really. So definitely heaps of problems. Lots of things that have gone wrong, lots of things that go wrong every day. Product that we were banking upon, customer didn't like it. Store didn't work well. Oh, we've come up with this big campaign. Oh my God, it didn't work at all. But like I said, I can't, even though we're bigger than a startup now, I continuously take it back to the team. Be agile, be adaptable, think like a startup, fail fast. I never want to be able to lose that ability to say, you know what, we tried it, it didn't work, let's move on. So I think that happens all the time, regardless of funding or not, no funding. The stakes are bigger after funding, the pressure is more. I feel a lot more responsibility because it's some money. I feel like, okay, if it's my money and I lost it, it's okay, but it's somebody else's money. That's like way more responsibility. And yeah, as the company grows, we have people from all walks of life coming in. They have different mindsets, helping them unlearn and sort of, really integrate. It's very, very challenging. So we're constantly training, and there are a lot of people. I think what we're learning now, and I still have not mastered, is that I realize that when I know somebody's not a culture fit, I still find it hard to ask them to leave. And I'm like, okay, maybe one more chance, maybe one more month, maybe one more conversation. But I'm slowly realizing that I have to take a long time to hire someone, make sure it's right, and be very quick about asking them to go as soon as I know that it's not working. Because one person also comes and spreads,
Yeah, the
a
whole vibe, the
negative.
whole energy.
Yeah,
just-
yeah, and it happens all the time. Like it's
The larger you grow, I think. it's
exactly,
just
exactly.
important to be mindful.
When we were small, the team was so connected. I knew everybody. Now I don't. Like I can't. And so, how do I continuously work with a set of leaders who will slowly, cascade this down?
We hope that's maintained, because there's certainly also this thing called, the founder's fusion, which in every single day the founder comes back to the business with his or her own idea and concept.
Right.
Now, as your business grows, you will be hiring a lot of senior people from the industry, people with 20 years, 25 years,
Yes.
50 years of experience. To balance your aspirations
Yes.
with their experience
Yes.
is certainly a very fragile
Absolutely.
path
Yes.
to walk.
It is. But I think that, the way that I see it is, I always want to hire people who are better at what they do than I am. Because I never want heads up for tails to be tapped out at my limitation,
Sure.
right? I want everybody to be better at whatever it is that they do. And that doesn't threaten me any. Like, initially when I was like really young, I was like, okay, how does this work? But now I know what I need to focus on, and I know what I'm good at. And for everything else, I want to hire the best.
It's fine. I mean,
Like,
let the experts do their
exactly.
job. It's just as
Exactly.
simple as that.
Yes.
Any questions this side? Yeah, Vanu?
Ma'am, just like we said that you had to increase your engagement with the product. So with some services, how can we increase the engagement unless the customer wants a cheaper service and they do not know that your customer service is better, your product is better, your services is better? How to increase the engagement? Because after that, when they use your product, use your service, they will get to know that your product is amazing and they will retain.
Yeah.
But how to increase the engagement? How to convince them that they should try your product?
Right. That's something that we still struggle with. Like I said, I still feel people don't quite understand what we're trying to do, because for us, it's always been like, listen, what's the best that we can do? It was never about building something at a particular price point. It wasn't कि ये 99 rupees में ये बनाना. It's like, best क्या बना सकते हैं? Okay, इसको price करो अब. So there's a slight difference, but it's not easy because, people have whatever their limitations are, constraints are. Everybody has a budget. And now I think what we're trying to do is, we started to segment our customers and say, okay, these are the different kind of customers. Let's build for all of them versus only building for the absolute top. And I think that when it comes to new people in the fold, I found that the strongest word of mouth, strongest marketing is word of mouth. You may see an ad in the paper for an amazing new restaurant that's opened, or social media, or wherever else. But if your friend comes and tells you, listen, we are going here for dinner today, I've heard great things, you're going to go, right? So I think just word of mouth, just going back to the basics, telling authentic stories. We use our social media to share a lot of what we think and do, and feature our customers.
How big would your marketing be?
Until last year, it was maybe 5 people.
That's
Now
incredible.
it's 30 people.
And you have agencies.
No,
supporting them.
we don't work with it.
So everything is in
Everything is
So all of the content, everything
Yes,
that's generated,
everything.
organic, is all in.
everything in house.
When a business your size, 30 people, so I mean, it's a very agile,
Yeah, that's
powerful
how
team.
we
So there
keep
must be really, really good people.
it. Thank you.
Any questions?
How do you avoid the procrastination among workers? Like in any business, there are various people with diverse mindsets and behaviors. So
Yeah.
how do you avoid procrastination among workers at floor level?
Good question, because I struggle with that sometimes, really. I think I have started to over communicate to my people that have to honor our time at work. And our work is where we spend the best hours of our life. 8, 9, 10 hours of your day, every day is where is what you're spending at work. And we have to make it count, and we have to make it something that we are proud of. And while this philosophy reaches some people and it makes sense to them, there will be others who will just be like, no, I want to play video games. I want to, really just get by the day with minimum work. And then I think we slowly weed those people out of the system, because that just doesn't work for the impact that we're trying to create and what we're trying to do.
The culture fit,
Yes,
maintaining the culture.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll take one last question,
sure.
and then I'm going to request you to give 2 minutes of wise advice
Okay.
to these young people here.
Okay,
As they're presenting their final ideas to the jury on Thursday.
sure.
Each of them has 1 minute. So just in 2 minutes, if you
Of
want to
course.
tell them how best to be their best.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So one last question. Any hands? Done. So there you go.
Great. Okay, presenting the pitch, I have been there before, and it is a little bit scary, I have to tell you. And so I massively applaud your confidence in going out there and sharing this business idea for the people who are going to. I think the most important thing is to share the why of your business. Everybody will talk about the what and the how, but why are you doing this? If it comes from, an idea which is inspired by a personal story or anything else, that why goes a very, very long way. Imagine if you're a judge sitting here and 5 people come and pitch the same idea, right? But somebody has thought about it at one level deeper. Why are you doing this? It's not just what you're doing, what your idea is. I think that it really goes a long way. And just the second one is to be as authentic as you can be. I think just these 2 things, your passion will come across, tell the story the best way that you can, and break it down into why you're doing what you're doing, what is it that you're doing, how you're doing it. I'm sure you have your pitch decks ready, but just go out there and be authentic, be honest, and talk about the why. I just keep it very simple.
Yeah, well, that holds true. I think when you walked into the room and you spoke for 20 minutes, the why certainly came out. Really, really.
That's
loud.
important to me. I think I feel that is a big differentiator in businesses when I work with younger people, and a lot of people come and say, okay, I want to do this business so I can get funds. I mean, that's
Knowing the why
Yeah.
and then storytelling it right.
yes,
Great. So we'll wrap it up.
awesome.
I think a big round of applause.
Full and helpful.
You were incredible.
Anyway, awesome.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for those inspiring words. And I was actually inspired, and I really loved the way you said that the Patels is a place where you promote pet parenting, and that was the highlight for the session.
So much.
So now I'd request Dr. Poonam, she is the head of science. Mental.
Thank you so much.
Actually, we'd love for all the students to have a photograph with you.
Of course, please, I would love that.